Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Mindfully Gay podcast. I'm John, and this is
Jerry.
We are so glad you are here to join us on another nature field. We're actually out in the backyard again, and because it's still summer and it's lovely. Just want to take advantage of the beautiful atmosphere, and so we really wish you could see this. We should just turn the camera
The
around.
natural lighting.
The natural lighting. Don't we look gorgeous? we have mountains, and there's some clouds in the background. We have hummingbirds. It's quite gorgeous.
And we have decided to start wearing brighter clothing.
Yeah. Sorry that we've been so drab on previous episodes.
Well, when you wear black or gray or white, well, you can't wear white on camera, but if you wear black or gray, you don't have to worry about anything matching.
Exactly. That's kind of like my...
I'm like, Bruce, does this work?
Everything goes together.
Today's topic is kind of yesterday we had this lunch with Kevin and Landon. Kevin and Landon are here in the Salt Lake City area. And they have started a monthly group called Morning Wood.
Yes.
And we have spent some time with them. I like to think it's their elders. But we spent some time with them, and they really have a really beautiful vision that they are working on supporting community.
Right.
And we were comparing notes, and there were some challenges that they were experiencing in their interactions with trying to get gay men active in a communal, connective way.
Right.
And so it was refreshing to chat with them. But the issue around, it's summertime right now. We're recording now in August, but you probably won't get this till the end of September. And so body consciousness is like way on the radar.
Absolutely.
Right? It's the season of Speedos and thongs. And so whenever, they're finding that when they host events, that the primary question or the concern that's coming up is around, will they fit in?
Mm-hmm.
And then we started talking about misconceptions and stereotypes and concerns about our human sexuality, our bodies. And so we were brainstorming this morning and said, I'm plagued by that conversation yesterday.
Right.
And we're going to have Landon and Kevin on our podcast here soon. I think we scheduled them for the end of September.
Right. And they'll talk a lot more about their group, Morning Wood.
Yeah.
But just generally, like you were saying, it's about, really about building community and connecting and all of that, but from a different perspective. They just want to create a space that is open to people who maybe just don't want to stay up late and go to the clubs late at night and that kind of thing, because they're morning people like me. and so it's a morning group, so Morning Wood.
You are not a morning person. You get up in the middle of the night. That is not morning.
Isn't it? Perspectives.
You're having dinner when most of us are having breakfast.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not exactly sure how to dive in this, other than I was thinking about this when I was driving back from the gym. I thought, how do we get this going? And I think I like to personalize the process a bit, because I believe that whatever I'm going through is probably not terribly unique. Or maybe we've heard it in the voices of others, but it might be an interesting place to start, because, I've gone through this. I over the last 3-4 years, I've gone through a really interesting process, and I would say the lesson that I learned in this, and when I say process, is I lost a bunch of weight. I've gotten myself into some really good health habits, and my body's been pretty responsive. And I'm 60, and I'm surprised at what my body is doing. But I can tell you that in the middle of that process, I went through this really interesting awareness. And I like to think I'm someone who tries to be aware and conscious of things, but I wasn't conscious of this like body shame that I had.
Mm.
And that I still, when I confront it, I have to be very conscious about it. Like
Yeah.
it's not, it doesn't come natural.
Mm.
I think it's more natural this summer than it was last summer, but it's still a place. I remember kind of having this moment with Nick, who has been helping me with this whole training process. And it was almost like a confession. Like I had no idea how much shame I was holding on to about my body. And I say that because I have talked to a lot of other gay men. It's interesting how frequently I hear that story.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's about body shape, right? Either we're too muscular or we're not muscular enough.
Mm-hmm.
We're not fat enough or we're too skinny, or like there's always some equation. I'm not like the social influencers. I'm convinced that most gay men do not own shirts. If I based it solely on social commentary,
Right.
I think there's a shortage of shirts going on in the gay men
Yeah.
community.
So we're going to start a service. If you want to donate your shirt to help those poor gay men out there.
But right, we get inundated with these messages.
Right. Right.
And whether I think for me, whether I was conscious of it or not, I think I internalized it and just kept saying, well, I'm not that age, I'm not that body, I'm not valid.
Mm.
Or it's best for me to stay in the shadows and be the support team. Something like that. I don't know. I'm rifting.
That's really interesting. Because I think we do, walk around with some sort of shame, whether it's we're wearing it on our sleeve or it's somewhere just kind of tucked in there. And I know I have, and I've had some opportunities where I've gotten to model, and for like some, men's magazines and books, right? And I'm honored to be asked, but I'm always very intimidated, or I have been intimidated, because I just know that the other models are going to look like all those influencers, just this prime specimens, well proportioned muscles, abs, the whole thing. And I just don't feel I look like that at all. And I never have really felt like I look like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find myself like in a situation like that, where I I guess I go into this overcompensation. Like I'll go into this, diet mode and exercise mode where I've, try to look as, I don't know, photogenic as possible for these things. And, but all the while it's just, I'm really just saying to myself, I'm not good enough. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to, even if I get the pump and the whatever, I'm still not going to be up to par with these other models. I don't even know what they look like. I don't even know who they are. I just have that feeling. And and I don't know, the shoot goes fine, but it's just this cloud of doubt about myself and my body and what I look like, and and it comes with just my body shape, because I feel like I have really skinny legs. I don't like my skinny legs, and I'm skinny in general. Um, and and this is a big piece. And I'm brown. I'm a black man.
Are you?
Yes. Surprise, surprise. And that's a level of intimidation too, and a level of shame sometimes, especially in those kinds of circles, because when I go to these things, I'm usually the only
Mm.
person of color. And yeah, it's just, I'm feeling the heebie-jeebies right now just thinking about
Yeah.
it.
Well, there's some interesting research too about how white bodies are glamorified and glorified.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, even with people of color, the lighter skinned folks
Mm-hmm.
tend to get preference and privilege.
Right.
On a side note, it's interesting when I'm in Mongolia, Mongolians have a very particular look.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go into their shopping complexes and you see all the signage,
Is it all
They're all
American?
white American
Yeah.
models. I'm like, none of these models look like any other
Yeah,
Mongolians.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think we saw that in Peru too. Peruvians look a certain way, but you go
Yeah.
into markets and things like that, and their ads are, these very nondescript. You can't tell what, race they might be.
Yeah. Yeah. But isn't it interesting when you said I'm skinny?
Mm.
I thought, you're not skinny. You're cut. You're amazingly cut. You always are cut, bitch.
I guess it's because I still have the image of when I was quite young, because I was really quite skinny.
Yeah.
I didn't have the muscle that I do. I mean, I know I have muscle now, but I still have that image of that 8-year-old, 12-year-old, whatever, just skinny as a rod, looking in the mirror, because that's what I saw, because that's what I got teased about. If anything, that's what I got teased about.
Yeah.
It was just how skinny I was and how big my feet were. My friend used to draw like cartoons and would draw a picture of me and draw me as a hockey stick, just this long, and these long feet that came out. So I'm just a big old hockey stick. And it's funny. So I still have a bit of that image in my brain. Even if I look in the mirror, I still
Yeah.
see this skinny kid.
I'll pull a Byron Katie on you. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Are those things true about you?
What things?
That is it true that you're skinny? Is it true that you're whatever narrative you're promoting? Are those things true about you?
No, but here's what I do is, if if I stand alone and just kind of see myself, and I can now easily do this and just take pride in my body and what I do and how I look and all that. Yeah, there's really a good sense of pride there around that. But then when I start comparing myself
Yeah.
to the pictures, the videos, the guys at the gym, that's when I start to sway towards the belief that I am skinny. Oh, I'm not, thick enough and broad here and big legged and that kind of thing. When I start to compare, that's where I get into that slippery slope, and the brain just goes malfunctions.
Yeah. So who are you without that comparison? If you weren't comparing, if you could just see yourself.
I'm pretty fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fabulous, desirable, handsome, right?
Yeah.
Now how you feeling?
Actually, I get a little embarrassed, but I do believe that, partly because I'm proud of being this age and the way that I look. Just my image on the outside. I think it matches my inside too.
Yeah. Look at this. Extra small?
That's why I buy small size clothing
Yeah.
to make myself look.
That's not true. It is kind of a spandex.
It's a little stretchy thing. But I think it is interesting, like I said, if I'm just kind of stand alone, I can more easily embrace my wholeness inside and out. But it's when there's these pop-ups of whether it's the gym, magazine ads with men in them, or influencers or porn or things like that, right? Then I can start that comparison stuff.
I've been having an interesting process with someone. And this guy he kind of has an amateur eye for photography. And when he met me, he's like, "Oh, I want to do a photo shoot with you." And my first narrative was, "You're so nice." I love it when people give me charity, right? And I kind of was pretty dismissive of it. And then one time we started texting and he was like really serious about it. And I realized that my reaction, his invitation was pushing me to a particular edge.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole transformation has been interesting. Like this is the first summer I've actually bought clothes that fit. I've held on to my fat girl clothes because what if I need them?
Mm,
But then I wear them and I don't feel good about
no,
myself
right.
because they're just kind of sagging.
Exactly.
And hell, you bought me the belt
Yeah.
that fit, remember?
Yeah.
Like I was cinching up this belt and John's like, here, I'll buy
I'm
you a
going to buy
belt.
you a belt. It's a great belt.
And,
Anson belt.
um, but I had all these really interesting ways that I wasn't necessarily conscious of what I was doing, but I was kind of like avoiding taking in the transformation.
Mm,
And so this year I've been very intentional about buying clothes. It's really interesting to wear clothes that fit because they feel different. So I've had to like really adjust to that. And so when he kept inviting me to kind of do this photo shoot,
mm-hmm.
I'm just like, I'm that just edges me out. I think I'm beyond that. And he's rather tenacious. And so I just told him, I said, look, this is an edge for me. I don't know how comfortable I feel about this.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do it because I trust you.
Yeah.
And so he had these different themes in mind. One was to wear this kind of shirt that had no sleeves. And I'm like, "Ah, that's not proper.
That's not
Like, who
proper.
cut up this shirt?" um, and he took a bunch of pictures, took pictures with me without my shirt on, which I've never done something like that before, other than if someone catches me at the beach or something. Um, and um, he kept trying to show me the pictures, and I said, I don't want to see them.
Mm.
Like he'd take a picture, goes, oh, that's a great one. I don't want to see it. Like I was just like, no, because I knew my eye was going to see the flaws. He was excited about it.
Yeah.
And I said, I just want to see when you're done with them.
Yeah.
So he has sent me a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two things I see. One, there's some really good pictures. And I kind of saw my body through a different lens.
Yeah.
And part of that lens was, oh, I need to do more core. I need to do more of this. And then there was another part that went, okay, that worked. But then there are these other pictures where and I know it's earlier on in the shoot, but I can see the discomfort in my face.
Mm.
I can see the anxiety in my face. I can see the doubt. And I thought, I think I tend to project as a fairly confident person, and yet it was so visible in these pictures. And so I contacted him, and he goes, "Oh, we're going to do more shoots. I'm just getting you into this.
Yeah.
And but I want to do more pictures with you." And I think partly is because he wants me to see something.
Yes.
I mean, I appreciate his generous. I trust this guy, so it's very comfortable for me to get into a place of comfortable.
Right. Right.
But I'm left pondering. I think a lot of us would have that same experience unless you're like really super seasoned, right? I mean, I think you're beautiful, and you're telling me you have that same anxiety.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, what was interesting in your story was kind of tying it to, like, as I'm developing and moving through puberty, as my body's kind of adapting into maturity, we go through this like really awkward stage. And I sometimes even see that with my trans clients.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
They have an idea of what they should look like.
Should look like and want to look like.
And how they're turning out is not always congruent.
Oh, interesting.
Right? And I hear it from every teenager going through puberty.
Exactly.
But I'm starting to be conscious a little bit about like the developmental impact or the trauma associated to seeing images as a teenager that are, right? Like suddenly I've just kind of noticed like young girls who are working really hard to look like sexy women.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I don't know what the equivalent is for little boys or teenage boys.
I think they're doing the same thing.
But something's happening.
Yeah, something's happening. I think they're doing the same thing. You know, whether it's, because I'm, I see pretty young guys, early 20s, even teens, at the gym.
Yeah.
And I think I'm only assuming and guessing just from their demeanor, what they look like, and I get a little close and I can see their skin. I think that I wonder if these guys are taking steroids.
Yeah.
So they're doing some body things.
Well, look, I can tell you this. In fact, we have a young relative who's in high school who is in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And, I have to make a certain weight class, or I have to, right? Like there's these regimens
Yeah.
that seem to be, how do I make you a better athlete as opposed to a healthier person?
Yes. Yes.
And I imagine it happens in football or
Yep.
any of this.
Any
But
sports,
think of high
karate,
school.
anything like
Yeah.
that. Any high school competitive sport, especially when there's weight classes like that for like, fighting, like wrestling or judo or something like that.
Yeah.
They have to get a certain weight class, and probably in football too, just things like that.
They got to get bigger.
They got to be bigger. All those kinds of things. And then of course women, if they're doing ballet or dance or some kind of performance. Oh my gosh, there's so many weight things and morals around that, and just the shame around their own bodies.
Well, and there's, right, it's treated as a normality,
Yeah.
right? Like we normalize this concept. In fact, I would say a lot of these high school kids see scholarships in their future. And so I have to be this, I am seeing more and more kids, for instance, in AP classes, like they're earning college credit. They're doing college rigorous academia at such a young age. And it's interesting. I don't remember having homework until high school. And yet I know kids in elementary school and junior high who are coming home with lots of homework.
Tons
It's
of
like
homework.
play is an important developmental process.
Yes.
And then I think you add another layer to that, right? If I am a young person who's not out of the closet or trying to understand my sense of who I am as a gay person,
Yes.
or gender fluid person,
Right.
right? What are the images? What informs me about what is valid, desirable, accessible,
Oh my gosh.
right?
Wow.
And, and so right now our media is saturated with drag queens, which I love drag performance, but I think it's lost some balance in our community, and porn.
Mm-hmm. Porn especially.
I mean, I think, you go to a pride event, who are the superstars?
Yep. It's the porn stars, it's the drag queens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the social workers,
Not
not the yoga teachers.
the yoga teachers.
Wait, if you have money, you're important too.
Yeah. Right. Oh, of course. Right.
But, how does that, in the isolation of community with other gay men in which we normalize these conversations, I'm left to my own conclusions. And social media shows us the happy performance.
Mm-hmm. When you were, I was thinking about when you did that photo shoot and you saw the finished product and you saw, some good ones, or you thought that, oh, this was good. And the other ones where, we're our worst critics, right? And so we see the small flaws. Now, you may see them, but if you showed them to me or even to the photographer, do you think they would see the same things?
Well,
that you saw?
he chewed me out. 'Cause I said, well, maybe as I get more comfortable with the camera, you'll get better shots. And his response was, now, if I were saying that to you, here's what you would say to me.
Okay.
I said, bitch, I'm the daddy here.
So threw it right back in your face. But isn't that interesting, though? Because, we're our own worst critics, right? And so we're going to see that tiny little, air quotes, flaw when it's no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And the average eye is just saying, oh, this is a cool picture. This is a great picture of you, Jerry. Wow,
Yeah. I don't want to be, well, I do want to promote them. I think Morning Wood is kind of like this fresh concept that's happening here in Salt Lake City. The one thing I've appreciated about their social media campaign is they have been very intentional in finding diversity of bodies.
Yeah.
And so there's like these extra lovely sized people, there's hairy people, there's young, middle aged, femme, mask. Like it is truly their social media is truly reflecting diversity in body shapes and sizes. Now I came to them and said, where's the older people? And he said, well, would you like to be a part of our? And I said, no. For a couple of reasons, although I think I'm actively reconsidering that, because what they said though was a lot of the older people want to see older bodies, but nobody's been willing to put themselves out there.
Yeah.
Now, what I love about the shoots that they've gotten is, I wouldn't say these are classic, like, bodies that get a lot of social media time, but man, these guys are working the camera and all their, and I love it. It's beautiful. It enlivens me that somehow these guys have created that space, and we're trying to create that space as well, but they're creating it in this social venue that says we want to be inclusive.
Yeah, inclusive, come as you are. And when I see those pictures, it's refreshing to me.
Yeah.
Because I think it does represent more of it represents reality. This is what people look like. People look like this. Gay people look like this.
Do you remember when the news coverage of Pride Day, KSL was notorious for this, but all the TV stations did it.
Oh, yeah.
They would come to cover Pride Day.
Mm-hmm.
And where would the camera focus?
It would be on the flamboyant, crop top, short, cutesy, glitter wigs, wings, the whole, just the really,
super flamboyant.
Yeah.
Drag queens.
Yeah.
If we were lucky, we got some leather daddies in there.
Right.
And so the viewer, who at that time didn't really know too much about what gay was.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, at one point I talked to my ex-wife. I said, I want to bring my daughter to a Pride event.
Yeah.
And her comment was, do you think she's ready for that?
Interesting.
And in my mind, what I saw at Pride was me and you and everyone else that, put on some sandals, shorts, and a tank top and went and had a good time.
Right.
But people who weren't a part of that circle just saw one particular aspect. And the rest of us are saying, but that's not what happened.
That's not what happened. That's a segment, but it's not all.
Right.
Right. And I would even argue you would see that every year. I can remember being, a teenager living in the Bay Area, and they would not televise, but just news coverage of the San Francisco Pride, for example. And so here's this young gay teen, seeing this on TV, same exact thing.
Yeah.
It was the dykes on bikes and the leather people, and then these very flamboyant looking folks in the parade. And so myself included, as well as I'm sure just kind of the average person watching the news and seeing gay pride in San Francisco, oh, that's what gay is. Right?
We're doing the same thing.
We're doing the same thing.
Right? Our Instagram pages, our Facebook pages tend to really glamorize particular racial identities, body types, who's having the good time. And if I'm in the closet, or if I don't have a lot of social support, then I feel alienated. And one thing I hear from a lot of guys who are trying to come out is they see those images that we're perpetuating ourselves, and they're like, I'm not sure I want to be a part of that.
Right.
Because they're casting a story. We may know the full context of it, right? Or I don't see myself represented, therefore I don't think there's this place for me.
Exactly. And that's I think a really key thing. If you don't see yourself, if you don't see yourself in any of these images, how can you even relate or feel like you belong or can fit in? And then it leads more towards pretending and putting on a mask and trying to be something that you're not in order to fit in. And that can go, clockwise. counterclockwise. But yeah, right.
Yeah.
Where again going back to morning wood and just what they're kind of putting on display there. It's refreshing because it's more representative of what, at least in Salt Lake, right? This is what folks look like in reality. And um, I've been feeling more of a shift, and even just how I look, my physicality, and as well as the people that I encounter. So I think I'm less. I talked about just I would compare myself to, and I would in that, but I'm comparing myself to images that in situations that I'm just not in. It's like, well, I'm not doing porn, and so I don't. There's no reason for me to try to compare to that because I'm not doing that. I'm not in that. But in just kind of in real life, I teach yoga and I teach nude yoga, right? And so one of the questions I often get when people are inquiring about the classes, people will ask, "Is everyone fit?" You know, um, are they all young and fit? And I said, well, you'd be surprised. You know, we've got people of all ages and shapes and sizes. I really try to encourage them, come as you are, because you might feel like you do fit in. You're going to see people who probably look like you. And I think for the most part, that's what people experience, because that's who's coming to my classes. The average age is probably 40 something. So maybe even a little older, because I do have older gentlemen that come to my classes, 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70 years old, maybe 30 something, rarely 20 something, right? And so it's more of a mature age. And like I said, all different sizes, um, textures of skin, color of skin, nationality. Um, and in a little way, it kind of represents gay Salt Lake.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't even say gay Salt Lake. It's just men in Salt Lake. Because I get people of all types, certainly in identities and how they might identify themselves. It's just men, and I'm finding myself, because I've been doing this for a long time, teaching and exposing myself to this myriad of beautiful men, and I say beautiful because I'm seeing the beauty in all of these men, and my ambition is to get more people to take advantage of a situation like this so they can see and experience. See, there's people just like you. You can fit in. You can be okay with how you look. Um, really do show up as you are. Don't worry about trying to, I need to should I shave my balls? Should I trim the hair on my chest? And should I lose weight? Like, why? No.
Although I've been getting all these advertisements on my Instagram about the shaving of your nuts. Have you seen these?
No.
Oh my gosh, yes, like there's special razors apparently.
Oh, yes. They're quite popular.
I just use a kitchen knife.
Yeah, I know.
No. I am. I want to go back to part of the conversation we had yesterday.
Yeah.
Because you said something. I was actually thinking about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been doing some Apple Fitness yoga classes, and there's two yoga instructors that I really have come to appreciate in that system.
Mm-hmm.
One is this guy by Dice,
Right.
and the other is a woman by the name of Janelle.
Right.
And both of them start their yoga practice, and I think you do too, but you suggested that you do this in some meditation stuff. But it's like one hand on your heart, one hand on your solar plexus, and it's kind of like taking a breath and connecting with your own body.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is these two start their practices with probably a good minute meditation of breath and connectedness to one's body.
Yes.
And even when we've worked with Ruben in Peru, the shaman there, he does this beautiful meditation where, you know, think about your eyes. Your eyes are always working. Your eyes are always taking in. Say thank you to your eyes.
Yeah.
And think about your heart. Your heart's always working. Work, 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 work. Just pause and say thank you.
Yeah.
Right? And then yesterday at the table, you were talking about in some of your meditation classes that around the tantric practices and that you spend time helping people focus on their bodies and connecting and appreciating their bodies. I, I think you need to talk about that a little bit because I think we've defined the problem and we've raised some consciousness about where the problem comes from.
Mm-hmm.
What I heard you say yesterday, I thought, boy, if we could get more men
Mm.
to appreciate the beauty of their body.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you well enough to know. Do you feel okay talking about
Oh
that?
yeah, absolutely. Because I think it's so important. Kind of an overlying theme in all of my yoga experiences and classes, including the tantric work. I feel like even just the mindful work that we do, I think it's very important to take a moment to stop, be still, and be quiet. I think that's kind of that's foundational because we're so um, distracted by so many external forces, whether it's porn or sounds and people and talk and conversation, that we get so overwhelmed. And so the first thing is to be still, be quiet. And so once we can get into that space, and I do breath work in order for us to do that, we sit still, we're quiet, and the process is breathing. Breath being the next kind of foundational exercise of tuning into self. And so it's simply getting people to breathe or pay attention to their breathing. We're always breathing, right? But to pay attention to the breath, notice how it feels in the body, how it resonates the body, what's happening, the rise and fall of your chest and belly, that kind of thing. And really pay attention. How does it feel? Do you have a tickle in your throat? What does it feel like in your nose when you breathe? And so it's just this inward, motion and directional exercise. Turn inward and let everything on the outside kind of get pushed away. And and just by doing that, it starts that process of being more in tune with self and appreciative of self. That one, you're breathing. You're here now, you're breathing. and and from that point we're moving onward. And when we do our tantric work, it's about laying hands on your body and just feeling and touching yourself. What does your skin feel like? Touch yourself, touch your arms, touch your hands, touch your legs, and say thank you or make a sound or just notice the feeling, just growing an appreciation of yourself. In tantra, at least how I've been able to define it and try to teach it, is tantra is connecting to self, connecting to others, connecting to all things. But you got to start with number one, in your number one. And this is how we do it. Once we get that full, rich connection to self love, we talked about radical self acceptance, that's where it starts.
Mhm.
Get to know your whole being, your analytical self, your emotional self, and beyond that, your spiritual self, your energetic self, all of the parts of you. And and of course the physical self. All of it is this radiant light of beauty. And if you can see that and experience that, then there's really no need for comparing yourself to others. You feel just comfortable in your own skin and just showing up as you are, because that's no longer a distraction, because you're so good with self. I think that's kind of the starting point when we do our tantric
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
Right. And there's no criteria. There's no criteria in what Ruben does, what you do, what the yoga instructors are doing, right? It's about finding alignment with yourself. And I would even suggest,
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, as somebody who's been mentored in practices in these shamanic traditions, people are always like, teach me, teach me, teach me.
Mm.
And they think, oh, I'm going to show them how to shake a rattle or how to mix a herb or something, right? And I think the thing they get most distressed about is how well do you know yourself?
Mm.
How able are you to have consciousness about where you get blocked?
Mm-hmm.
And how willing are you to shift your trajectory?
Yeah.
Right. And like I was talking about my own body shame, I wasn't conscious of it. And I'll tell you, when I became conscious of it, there was like a deep grieving
Mm.
because I started thinking about, like, for me, the grieving about was lost time. Grieving was around what was that buried, like, why am I finding this now? Like, there was some judgment about
I
that.
see. Yeah.
But then the grieving had a necessary space. And I recognized that it had to shift to a place of gratitude.
Mm.
And so it's interesting how many times I had gone on some journey work and the medicines took me to my body.
Wow.
And I would sometimes be laying in a ceremony and I would be just like touching myself or feeling my heartbeat or becoming familiar with other parts of my body in ways that I had not ever given permission to.
Mm-hmm.
And being very conscious of going into places of deep gratitude. And so now, it's interesting. I recognize there's still edges there. And what I tell people is when I recognize an edge, I have choices.
Exactly.
I can say, oh, no, that's too scary and run. Or I lean into it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the photographer. I did not have to do it. But what I said is, this is an edge. I'm going to lean into it. I'm putting myself in your hands. Let's just play with this. There's more play to be had.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using the word play and not work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But to play with it.
Yeah.
And I'm celebrating the discovery.
Yes.
And I think I'm offering this as, I think this is a template.
Mm-hmm.
Go to that place of, where am I today? What is the thing that edges me out? And can I come to celebrate it?
You said something, you've often said this, but I remember you said this in conversation yesterday too, but curiosity. I think that goes along with play, changing, just changing some vocabulary in the way, in perspective of things, rather than making this work, make this playful, be curious, explore. And I say some similar things in my meditation classes and yoga and all that, where explore as if you were seeing this for the very first time, and you just have eyes wide open and you just seeing and discovering something brand new.
Yeah.
Or uncovering something maybe that you've tucked away, that has been absent maybe from your life and in visual perspective for a long time, but you did a little digging because you leaned in and got curious. And I think that can soften it a little bit, softens that idea. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get hurt, it's gonna be hard, scary. But I think you can soften that a little bit by just be curious, just and be kid-like with these edges, with these things that feel a little uncertainty of the thing. Let's just peek behind the curtain and see what's there, because you might be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
You might be pleasantly surprised. You might discover something quite valuable and beautiful behind that curtain that is then enriching, and that helps change that trajectory in your own story about self.
Yeah. I want to talk about penises.
Okay. Jerry wants to talk about penises now.
I have a gripe. They say statistically that the average size penis is like 5.5 inches or something.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, Gay men must be extraordinary because on all the social apps, I don't see anyone with 5.5 inch penis. They're all promoting 7 to 8 to 9 to 12 inches.
Hello, right? These girthy, you know, they look like forearms that coming straight at you that are,
Well, I'm just saying when they give their stats, they
oh,
they tend to say, "Well, this is who I am."
oh, I see.
But here's something happened in our conversation yesterday, and I loved your response to it.
Oh,
About the situation where someone wanted some feedback about performance anxiety.
oh yeah.
Do you remember what your response was?
Remind me.
Well, we were asked the question when somebody is suggesting they have performance anxiety, and your retort said, "It's not a
Yeah,
performance."
yeah,
And I thought that was a beautiful response. And then I think, what a beautiful way of reframing that.
yeah,
Like, what have we done to our consciousness to believe that having sex and fucking is about performing at a particular standard?
right. I mean, if you think about, I mean, I can certainly talk from experience, but I think this might, fit a lot of people's experiences, especially gay men. If they're watching porn, you know, remember what you're looking at. This is a performance. This is television. This is film. You know, yeah, they might see two people, doing the deed, but behind them or on the other side are cameras and a crew and all this stuff. This is performance.
I've yet to have a pizza delivery guy.
And the music and the whole thing, right? And you're perpetually hard and the whole 9 yards, the
Yeah.
whole 9 inches, right? And so I think again, comparison. If you're with a hookup, connecting with the guy, maybe it's the first time, and you don't get hard, or you can't stay hard, or whatever or you don't come,
Yeah.
right? Um,
People apologize.
people apologize and just feel bad, but feel bad about themselves, feel bad about the experience because maybe I let you down. I mean, just this whole thing because of something normal. Something normal happened, and it's that. It's like, well, is it a performance,
Yeah.
or are you just showing up as you are and just being what human beings are?
I've had a talk with I talk a lot with Cole, and we'll chat, and it's like, I like playfulness,
Mm-hmm.
I like banter, I like discussion, like I like the exchange of playfulness,
Mm-hmm.
which has nothing to do with genitalia size,
Nope.
right? If we're having fun, if
you're-
there's some energy and synergy between people,
Mm-hmm.
I've shared this example, and I swear this touched me. The last time I did a Body Central with you,
Mm-hmm.
there was this rather voluptuous guy there. I mean, but boy, he owned himself.
Yes.
And at some point, I was sitting on the ground, and he sat down behind me and just started kind of rubbing my back and put his arms around me, and we just kind of cuddled and shared space. And I just thought, to me, the playfulness is, this guy's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoyed the energy. I enjoyed the exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and some of the guys with the biggest dicks are.
It's fascinating, and I think I've learned that about myself.
Did you get what I
Yes,
just
I
said?
did. That's something I've learned about myself too, especially in these circles and just teaching, because I see so many types of people that I find myself pleasantly surprised, thinking that thinking that I'm going to be drawn to the fit, individual, just like the porn mags and the porn films, right? But I'm finding it's about the energy. It's about
Yeah.
the energy of the person, and like you said, it's about just connecting. It might just be eye contact or a simple touch or a little conversation, light talk, or it's just the vibe. It's not about who's hard or not, or who's, hard-bodied or not. It's just, you'll be surprised who you might connect with.
Yeah.
And that's what I get to experience in doing this, and I want others to as well. Come to one of these classes. You might be pleasantly surprised when you open yourself up to the curiosity, explorative part of it, and leave performance at the door. You'll get so much more out of it.
Yeah, I'm just being conscious of that metaphor of the performance,
Mm-hmm.
because frankly, I would have never thought about that reframe. And when you said it, it took a burden off my shoulder. Like,
Oh, yeah.
it's not a performance.
It's not a performance.
You're right. It's not.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
But I know how many times I've gone into a situation thinking I've got to show up and play a particular role here, a
Mhm.
particular piece. And there may even be a consciousness about it that's reciprocated, but I think it's almost pleasantly demystified
Yes.
when you start the communication. I think it can become demystified very
Mhm.
quickly.
Very
Like
quickly.
just like I said, it was a burden taken off my shoulder. I think some people are like, "Oh, well, you're like a nice guy." It's like, isn't it interesting who we'll let into our houses without knowing and put ourselves in the most vulnerable situations,
Yeah.
and we wait to be surprised. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, it, and I think it's really important, at least for me.
Mm.
I mean, this conversation is as revelatory. Like, we're not trying to set any moralistic standard here,
Mhm.
but I sometimes think by talking these things through,
Mhm.
which is the premise of Mindfully Gay, of let's have communication, I educate myself, I raise my consciousness, and now I have some material to consider how to move forward.
Yeah.
And I have options.
Have options.
Whereas before, I may not feel like I have them
Mm-hmm.
because I'm letting everyone else dictate the story of my authenticity.
Yes. That's that external distraction, letting others and other things dictate and tell your story and write your story. No, you get to write that story.
Yeah.
You get to write it.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, just kind of going back to be still, be silent, be quiet, take some breaths, move inward, or have an experience where you can leave performance outside and just kind of be normal,
Yeah.
just be yourself. It's going to be such an enriching experience overall.
Well, and I do think, I think sometimes when we talk about intimacy,
Mm.
and I could be wrong, or there could be a variety of opinions here. I think we think that intimacy is only allocated to the person or people that we're in relationship with, right?
Okay.
So, and yet I would say I have a very intimate connection with you.
Yes, absolutely. I agree.
Cole and Hunter, I have a very intimate relationship with them
Mm-hmm.
that admittedly it's heart-centered, but I
Mhm.
would call that intimacy
It
because
is.
it's an energetic exchange that's reciprocal.
Mm-hmm.
And I would even argue with our sexual partners, whether even a hookup, I think there can be a space of intimate connection. And I think this was, Harry Hayes often talked about how gay men tend to have an object consciousness with each other.
Yes.
You're an object, I'm an object. The object is to get off.
Mm-hmm.
And Harry's promotion was to move us towards subject consciousness.
Yes.
And so, yeah, let's say we're going to hook up and fuck, but I want to remember that you have a soul,
Mm-hmm.
you have a spirit, you have emotion.
Yes.
Right? And I could really enhance this hookup by considering all the variables of pleasure
Mm-hmm.
and not just what triggers your body.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I couldn't agree more. It's when you eat, like you said, it can even happen in a hookup where you barely know each other's first names, right? There can be a level of intimacy. And it might be as simple as either before, during, or after the act, right? Is maybe just holding, cuddling, kissing, little talk, just something that just kind of brings you closer on a different level rather than just the sexual piece and the sexual act. That there's, you know that there's depth.
Yeah.
There's depth to this other being. It's
Yeah.
not just an object. This is a subject. And when you think subject, there's depth. And you see spirit, you see energy, you see love, you see all these beautiful aspects and attributes of a human being that's before you. Um, but flip side, you can be intimate or have an intimate connection and relationship with someone that you're not sexual with, because you see the value of their humanity and their heart, their soul, and you lean in to that. That's intimacy. That's intimacy. Yeah. I mean, so there's a lot of ways of, looking at body image, that's kind of two-dimensional. That's almost objective, right? Body image. And if we're only valuing people by body image, then we've got a long way to go. But if we can kind of break that mold and break that barrier and dig in a little bit and find the intimate body, the sensual body, the spiritual body.
Do you remember Tom Clark?
Yes.
Love Tom Clark.
Yeah.
An amazing photographer.
Yeah. I've modeled for him.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. The thing I liked about Tom and his art is all of his subjects are naked,
Mm-hmm.
but he captures the energetics,
Yes.
the emotion.
Mm-hmm.
You can almost see people's personalities,
Yes.
and he used to do celebrity work. And whenever I looked at some of the work he did, like on Lucille Ball or some of the others,
That's right.
you get an aspect of them
yes.
as individuals.
You sure did.
Versus the persona, the performance.
Yes, for sure.
And I guess I offer that because what happens when we show up to hook up, show up to engage, and or even looking at each other on the apps?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if our exchange was that of the artist? And whether I'm interested in you or not, I can value the depth of emotion and feeling. And I love it when someone says, hey, you look good. I appreciate you reaching out. I'm not interested, or you're not my type, or whatever. I much more appreciate that than some of the catty bullshit that goes off, right? Because I think, all right, that person, whether if I were to meet them, I wouldn't be meeting them feeling ashamed.
Right.
I would meet them and just know they're not interested.
Exactly.
And I'm not going to be everyone's type, just like not everyone's my type.
Right.
But I just believe in the value. We all worry about how the Republicans treat us. I think we need to start at home base
Home
first.
base. How are we treating each other?
We need to practice treating each other with the kind of love that we want from others.
Hello. Amen. Amen.
Because if you don't love yourself,
how the hell are you going to love somebody else?
Amen. So, as always, this is our conversation.
Yeah.
And
wow,
we invite you to be a part of the conversation. And even if we're a catalyst for your next brunch with your friends and you talk about how much bullshit we're talking about, our goal is accomplished because you're talking.
Because you're talking.
And that's what we want.
Yeah, yeah.
But we also want your comments.
We do want to know what you're thinking.
Good or bad. We're curious. We're always looking, what a subject matter you'd like from us.
Yeah, yeah.
We take, our subject matter comes from our interactions with others. Just like our conversation yesterday at lunch has fed this conversation today.
Exactly.
So bottom line is we love you guys. We love our communities, wherever you're at in the world. We want you to celebrate the magic of who you are, and that's what we're about.
Amen.
So until next time, thank you.
See ya. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Mindfully Gay podcast. If you enjoyed our conversation today, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. This way you won't miss out on any of our upcoming episodes where we continue to explore fascinating topics and share meaningful stories. Your support means the world to us. See you in the next episode.